Welcome to The Brain Dump, where we study the psychology of success. Join us as we probe the habits, rituals, and routines of top-performing artists, entrepreneurs, authors, athletes, and more to uncover the timeless principles we can all use to take our lives to the next level. Are you ready to plunge the grunge that's been gunking up your mind's eye? Great, then let's get to it.
Welcome to the Brain Dump, guys. Anthony decided to live dangerously today, and he said, what are we going to talk about? And I said, I don't know. I'm going to talk very loudly in the beginning and think of it simultaneously. And what we're going to talk about.
So we need to keep rambling a little bit longer until a topic comes to the top of our mind. So this is what happens when we try to fly too close to the sun. We come in without the net. But no, there's something to be said about coming in unscripted into life and just being present for whatever could occur. When you come in with an agenda, then you try to force things down that narrow little path. And this is something that's really interesting because I think I just found our topic really honestly.
Boom, you hit it.
It's interesting when I was doing the podcast circuit back when I first started. You know, I wanted to be scripted. I wanted to really know my talking points as much as possible. And so then every podcast was exactly the same. And I remember doing a day where I did like 7 podcasts in a row and I just kept telling the same stories over and over and over. And I was like, oh, this sucks. This is boring. Like I'm tired of telling these same stories, but it's because I wasn't present. It wasn't just coming in and saying like, let's go wherever this may lead.
Well, it's the entire genesis to when I started creating social content. You saw it yesterday. I know you saw it yesterday because you texted me about it. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. The Kyle Cease, Tom Bellew interview. When I started creating, I saw that interview and it was how I created my podcast or kind of my framework for it, where I didn't want to have a context. I just wanted it to be what it be and I'd be present in the moment. So I'm curious your thoughts on not having a context lens to push an idea or agenda down. And he talked about that a lot in that interview.
Well, it's the hard part is when you come in with an agenda or expectations and you're, like I said before, you're trying to force it through this needle's eye and you're missing like the wider context of where the thing could go. And I think so much of the fun in life or the meaning in life comes from spontaneity and serendipity and allowing just yourself to exist in the moment. And so coming in scripted is really in a way being prisoner to your past self and saying your past self is saying this is how future you is going to act and behave. And so in a way you've created like this warden of your old identity and what they want for you. And you're not then living for what you in the moment wants. And that's the tricky bit, is recognizing that you are only what you are in this instant, that what came before is no longer relevant, doesn't really matter. And what that person wanted, you know, yourself, what you wanted in the past doesn't matter anymore. And I talk about this a lot with my girlfriend, Jamie, about the fact that I see myself as 3 people. There's past Anthony, there's current Anthony, and there's future Anthony. And current Anthony's only job is to make sure he doesn't do anything that future Anthony hates him for. Like, as long as I do that, then I'm good. But current and future Anthony's job is not to live in alignment with past Anthony. Past Anthony's gone and dead. He's gone.
Then how does one take what they were in the past and build on it? Or does that not exist because we're creating every day? Like you said earlier in a podcast, it's hard because who you are is different every day. So then how does somebody, perfect example, how does somebody that's super analytical and overthinks everything, how do they start shifting the narrative a little bit where they can kind of just operate in the present?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have a clue. This is the struggle, is because as humans, like we identify and we categorize and we want to live within these buckets, but then those buckets are also limiting and we also don't want to be limited. And so we're at this push and pull from 2 different ends of the spectrum, and it's frustrating. I think the key is mindfulness and presence and recognizing at any given instant that you are only this instant. And it is a process. And even Kyle, what's interesting about Kyle is you'll listen to him, and I don't even know if he realizes, I'm sure he probably gets conceptually that a lot of what he says contradicts itself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of it. And it's because there is this innate contradiction between you are just this moment, but you are also the confluence of everything that's come before. And those things don't exist separately. But recognizing that the present doesn't have to be dictated by that past either.
Well, that is the innate outcome of not having context, because in essence, I deal with the same thing, is that we are presently working out the thought or the thing in the moment. So a lot of the times as we're saying it, we could be working on the back end to form the whole idea. So that's maybe why it kind of contradicts itself a lot, because 20 minutes from now, we might have worked through it, but in that moment, we're just saying what's in front of us.
Mm-hmm. So I guess let's do something a little bit different right now. And tell me, in this moment, in this instant of time, what do you feel, Austin Linney?
Me personally, I feel the strongest and most complete I felt my entire life. I feel like my mindfulness, my energy, I feel like my intention, I feel like my impact is reaching into a different realm, and it feels rooted. When in the past it felt somewhat on shaky ground, but as I stack the bricks day by day, it feels as firm as it's ever felt in my 38 years.
I love that. That's great. Now let's go even more deeper, even more present, because that's still a very high level, right? Like you're talking about making impact in life on these higher levels. So right now, as you sit there listening to my timbre in your ears and the chair under your butt and the desk under your elbows, what do you feel like right now in this moment? Like if you were absolutely present, as Kyle would encourage you to be, and saying, this is your entire existence. What do you feel right now?
I don't know. That's hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because you have to be so aware of just like, because you want to project bigger and bigger. It's like, no, just come down right to where you are. And that's meditation. Really, right? Is like just trying to strip away all those big layers and just coming back down to sitting and feeling your breath and feeling the thoughts that are going through your head in that instant. And if you can spend time in that place, one, it's really powerful. It's really liberating, but it's also incredibly difficult because your mind just keeps wanting to race to the past, to the front, to everywhere in between. And all you got to do is like find a way to stay here.
Man, that's hard. That's
super hard.
I was listening to, you probably don't follow Aubrey Marcus a lot, and every now and then I'll listen to him. He's an interesting cat. But he talks a lot about psychedelics, and what he did, he said, was even more profound than that, is he did a 7-day no lights, so darkness retreat. Wait for it. They gave him food at different times of the day, so he didn't know what time it was. He said he's never hallucinated like he's taken all the drugs in the world. And he said that was the most impactful 7 days of his entire life, with no light, no nothing, no concept of time, nobody to talk to, silent retreat.
That's powerful. Yeah, I can imagine sensory deprivation and like light. Our relationship with light is a very important thing. And I talk about this a lot in terms of like a circadian rhythm and mood stabilization. Like light is so much more powerful than most people give it credence for. But I want to share, like, just for me during my meditation practice the last week, something that I've been thinking about a lot is just the mantra of where are you going? Why are you leaving the now? And when you're meditating or when you're trying to answer that question of like, how do you feel right now? That your mind keeps wanting to wander away. And if you can stop that in the moment and ask it, like, where are you going? Why can't you stay here? Like, there's a lot of truth that gets revealed in why you're trying to get away from that moment, which is, I think, the disconnect that Kyle talks about then of, the expectation versus reality.
Dude, I'm not going to lie to you. We had no idea what we were talking about, kind of off the cuff. Probably one of the more 10 minutes of impactful conversation I've had in a long time.
Yeah, because we came in with no agenda, just saw to see. But this takes great awareness a lot of times to whatever is going to come to the top of your mind and not disregarding it and saying, oh, there's a reason. If you're having thoughts in your life, like, acknowledge them. There's a reason that they keep coming up.
You know what I said yesterday? Everybody, in essence, knows what they should do.
Oh yeah,
it's the act. It's the act of not listening to the thoughts or the body and not doing it that is actually the one thing tripping us up.
Yeah, and for context, this is a great point, dude. Like, if you're listening to us right now, you're not listening to us because we're teaching you something new. We may be saying things in ways that you haven't heard before. Probably not. If you've listened to all our episodes at this point, we're just mainly repeating ourselves. You're probably watching or listening to us mainly because maybe for accountability or for like some kind of signal of like, hey, they can do it, I can do it. But you know what to do. You know.
Mm-hmm. You all know.
You know.
They don't. Everybody knows if they're overweight or they hate their job or they're with somebody they shouldn't be with. Everybody knows, but you're not listening to the signals. And I had a great mentor of mine tell me, as you get older, the lessons cost more and hurt more. You either wake up or you continue to pay. Simple as that. So
this is something that Kyle Cease said as well, because this is more or less the Kyle Cease episode is, and I found this to be very true and impactful, is that everybody's always looking for the answer externally and not recognizing that the answer is already inside them. They just are either not looking at it or they're refusing to acknowledge it. And so they're looking externally to Tony Robbins, to us, to whoever, to give them the framework, the answer that they will then create transformation. But the transformation doesn't happen externally. It happens from within.
Done. Art. Guys.
So your homework is go get your meditation on. Go be in the moment right now. Like, if you can do it, don't just like close your eyes while you're driving, but take a moment, take the next 5-10 minutes to like really sit in silence and in solitude and just feel where you're at. Try and acknowledge that.
I love it. See you next time, guys.
Thanks for joining us here at The Brain Dump. Now, before you go, it's important to solidify what you've learned here today by taking action. If all you do is listen, then you're only going to retain a small amount of the information you consumed here today. So take a quick moment to really lock in any key insights, tidbits, or pieces of wisdom that you want to carry with you into the future. You can do this by heading over to iTunes and leaving a review with your top 3 takeaways from this episode. If you've already left a review, first, thank you so much. Second, it's time to start a brain dump journal. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a slip of paper will do, where you can record a couple quick thoughts from each episode. Science shows this is one of the best ways to ensure long-term retention of new information. And finally, if you've got a brother, a sister, a coworker, or a best friend that you think would benefit from this episode, do them and us a favor and share with them this episode. Your support, as always, means the world to us.